Incredible loss turns heartwarming. Doctor discovers touching secret about billionaire's twins in the heart of Maplewood, where laughter danced through the air and coffee brewed in every corner cafe. Dr. Emily Carter stood at a crossroads. Just a year had passed since she buried her husband, and the ache of grief still clung to her like a shadow. As a pediatrician, her days were occupied with the cries and giggles of children, but at night, silence filled her home, echoing the absence of the love they once shared. Balancing her career and raising her son, Max nearly swallowed her whole, yet there was something about the charm of Maplewood that brought warmth to her weary heart. One day, amid the routine hustle of the clinic, Lily Monroe walked in. The moment their eyes met, Emily felt a jolt. The young girl's bright eyes were clouded with something deeper: pain, sadness, maybe even resentment. The opulent estate of Lily's father, billionaire Jack Monroe, loomed over the town like a relentless storm, yet here stood his daughter, a mess of sophistication overshadowed by a fragile spirit. During their brief appointment, Emily listened intently as Lily hesitated, her breaths quick and shallow. With a tender heart, Emily saw through the polished surface of wealth, recognizing the turmoil within the girl. "I can't please him," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. "It's always grades, always being perfect. I feel lost." Just then, Emily understood that beneath the silk and diamonds lay a fragile family suffocating under a gilded cage. Curiosity nudged Emily to reach out to Jack Monroe to bridge the space between father and daughters. She believed that if she could help Lily and Grace find their voice, perhaps Jack could rediscover the soft edges of family. As she navigated this new relationship, Emily found herself hoping for healing that ran deeper than skin. She craved connection in a world that often felt harsh and cold. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. But then the unexpected happened. At the annual charity gala, an event that seemed to need a hint of drama, a public confrontation erupted between Emily and Jack, igniting the tension that simmered between their worlds. Families gasped, whispers rippled through the crowd, and Emily felt her pulse race. Jack's material approach clashed with her more traditional ideals, and the misunderstanding left everyone reeling. Yet there was a flicker of hope. As they stared into each other's eyes, miscommunication gave way to something more profound: an awareness that they both wanted to heal, to understand. With secrets unraveling and emotions flooding their hearts, they stood at the precipice of change. But just as the air buzzed with possibilities, an unforeseen crisis loomed on the horizon, threatening the fragile connection they had just begun to forge. Will Emily and Jack break through the barriers that separated them from their hearts, or will their painful pasts tear them apart once more? As the community around them held its breath, ready for the next chapter of this complex tale, one thing remained certain: love, like hope, never truly dies. The evening was thick with tension, and the air felt charged as Emily stood on the outskirts of the gala, her heart pounding wildly. She had never anticipated that stepping into Jack Monroe's world would ignite such a fierce conflict between them. But the shame of the confrontation lingered, gnawing at her, making her feel small, almost invisible among the sparkle and glitz of the event. Jack was across the room, adorning the embodiment of charisma and wealth, utterly unaware of the emotional storm that swirled within her. Families mingled and laughed, toasting to the evening's achievements, but Emily felt detached, like a moth drawn to the light yet terrified of getting too close. She had to confront Jack. There was too much at stake now, not just the girls, but an unseen connection that pulsed between them, begging for discovery. As she pushed through the crowd, the sounds of laughter faded. They were hollow, devoid of the genuine warmth she sought. She spotted Jack leaning against the bar, his expression unreadable. The air stilled when their eyes met. Tension shifted. It was palpable, both a challenge and a plea. She took a deep breath and approached him, determination held tight in her throat. "Jack," she began, but her voice trembled. "We need to talk." He lifted an eyebrow, his lips pressing into a thin line. "About what?" "How I failed to see your intentions at the gala, or how you threw my daughter's vulnerabilities into the light for everyone to see." "You think that's what I wanted?" She snapped back, her passion igniting. "I'm trying to help them. They're screaming for help, and I knew you'd never see it because you're too wrapped in your world of perfection." His expression softened just enough for Emily to notice the layers beneath his facade. "And what makes you think my life is perfect?" The sharpness in his words tempered, becoming more of a whisper that begged for understanding. "What do you mean?" She countered, her heart racing. Jack's gaze slipped to the floor, a flicker of vulnerability sipping through his armor. "I think that's where you make a mistake, Emily. Just because I have money doesn't mean I don't struggle with my own losses, my own demons, and my own family." The confession hung heavy between them. He looked up, the fire in his eyes subdued. "I lost my wife, and I don't know how to reach my girls. I push them, hoping it keeps them safe. I lost one person already, I can't lose them too." Emily's heart ached with a fierce understanding. They both wore pain like a mantle, both searching for connection in their worlds built on loss. "But pushing them away won't keep them safe, Jack. We can't let grief define our relationships." Just then, a familiar voice broke the tension, pulling them from their moment. "Dad, Lily's missing." Panic sliced through the reflection of shared burdens. "What?" Jack exclaimed, and without a moment's hesitation, they both rushed toward the door where the noise of the gala faded into silence. Together, an unwilling partnership forged under urgency, they stepped outside, hearts pounding, sensing the gravity of what was unfolding. They weren't just searching for Lily, they were confronting the very fears that held their fragile new bond hostage. Just as they stepped into the crisp night air, a flicker of movement caught Emily's eye in the shadows. Before they could react, a figure emerged. "Lily," Emily called, instinctively lunging forward. But the truth of the moment made her blood run cold when she realized that Lily wasn't just lost, she was in danger. The night held its breath, waiting for what would happen next. Would Emily and Jack be able to reach the daughters they so desperately sought to protect, or would the forces of their pasts pull them down yet again? The tension was a tightrope walk, and the storm within them threatened to break. Emily's heart raced as she took a step closer, her instinct roaring in her ears. The figure's outline sharpened into focus, and suddenly the shadows turned into the familiar silhouette of a girl. Lily stood there, frozen, eyes wide with fear as she backed away from the unknown presence lurking just beyond the glow of the streetlights. "Lily!" Jack shouted, his voice a mix of relief and horror. He rushed forward, anxiety etched deep into his features. Emily's feet felt rooted, unwilling to leave her spot in the face of unknown danger. "What are you doing out here?" Jack reached Lily and knelt down to her level, his face inches from hers. "You can't just run off like that." "Dad, it's not safe." Lily's small voice trembled, her gaze darting behind her as if the shadows themselves were threatening. Emily pushed forward, fierceness blending with concern. "Lily, what happened? Who scared you?" Lily pointed shakily behind her, a tear rolling down her cheek. "I saw someone. They were watching me." Jack's eyes darkened, turning momentarily into storm clouds as he glanced where Lily was pointing. "Show me," he urged, standing tall, protectiveness radiating from him. "Wait," Emily protested, her throat tightened as she watched Jack prepare to step into the shadows. "It's too dangerous. Let us stay together." But Jack was already moving, urgency driving him. Emily followed close behind as they cautiously edged forward, the tension rising again like a thick fog sweeping in. "Stay right behind me, Lily," Jack ordered, his voice steady, but only barely masking the concern creeping in. Suddenly, the space felt smaller, the shadows deeper. They reached the corner where Lily had seen the figure only to find nothing but silence and an empty alley that twisted into darkness. The streetlights cast long beams, revealing faint outlines of trash cans and scattered debris, nothing that hinted at a threat. "What did you see?" Jack pressed, kneeling beside Lily again, but she only shook her head, uncertainty crinkling her brow. Just a feeling." Her voice was soft, but it felt laden with an invisible weight. Emily and Jack exchanged looks. There was something in that moment that felt bigger than fear. As they congregated there, they realized the distance that had built between them was crumbling. They were no longer just a man and a woman with hurt. They were the parents of frightened children, drawn together by something far deeper. "Sometimes feelings can be difficult to process," Emily said gently, lowering herself to Lily's level. "You did the right thing by coming to us. Never be afraid to speak up, okay?" Lily nodded, slowly wiping her tears with the back of her hand, a whisper of trust floating between them. "Let us get you back inside," Jack said, relief flooding his features, but still holding a protective stance. As they turned to head back toward the gala, Lily suddenly tugged at Emily's sleeve. "Will you stay with me, Miss Emily? I don't want to be alone." It felt as though a crack was forming in the walls within Emily's heart, a warmth blossoming in the coldness of the past. "Of course I will, sweetheart." And as the three of them made their way toward the gala, each step felt like a promise between Jack and Emily, and between the father and his daughter. They were embracing a kind of unity slowly but surely, the chaos of the night binding their hearts closer. But as they entered the ballroom, laughter swelled anew. Jack froze mid-step. "We're not alone, are we?" Emily felt a chill run up her spine as she turned back toward the entrance. Just then, a figure stepped out of the shadows that sent her heart plummeting. Was this danger still lurking, even in the light? What if the secrets lurking in the shadows tonight aren't just about lost girls? She whispered, unease creeping into her voice. The air around her thickened with a sense of foreboding, the night still whispering its hidden truths, vibrating with the promise of more to come. The figure emerging from the shadows was a man, tall and cloaked in a dark coat that seemed to absorb the surrounding light. His face was partially obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, but as he stepped further into the gala's illumination, Emily's breath caught in her throat. Familiar features rushed back in a flood angles of the jawline, the glimmer of something behind cold eyes. Jack pulled Lily protectively closer, instinctively stepping in front of them. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice steady but low, signaling their shared, unyielding resolve. The man's smile felt like ice. "It's been a while, hasn't it?" He tilted his head, eyes narrowing as he regarded Emily. Recognition danced in her thoughts, but she couldn't place him. "Do we know you?" she managed to ask, forcing her feet to stand firm amid the chaos inside. "Oh, we have history, you and I." He chuckled, the sound sending fingers of cold running down her spine. "And I must say, you've done well for yourself despite everything." Jack's protective instincts flared. "Get away from us." His daughter's safety was paramount, but the very presence of the man felt like an ominous storm cloud overhead, darkening what should have been the bright joy of the celebration. "Such a typical reaction," the man said, stepping back slightly as laughter from the gala erupted around them like fireworks, joy juxtaposed with their growing dread. "I assure you, I'm not here to threaten you, not directly at least." Emily's heart raced. Who is this person? What did he want? Memories of her past clamored for attention, fragments of hurt and chaos she had tried so hard to bury. She tightened her grip on Lily's small hand, feeling the warmth of her child break through the icy fear wrapping around her heart. "Just came to inform you," the man continued, "that shadows don't always linger where you think they do. I have something to show you, something you've been missing." "What do you mean?" Jack challenged, stepping forward, each word weighed down with caution. "If you're not here to hurt us, I'm merely delivering a message," the man interrupted. "A reminder of what lies just beyond your reach." Secrets kept too long sometimes resurface at the worst times. Lily's face twisted in confusion, and that same sense of dread filled the air. Emily knelt to her daughter's level, whispering softly, "Stay close to me, okay? No matter what happens." "Mommy, who is he?" Lily's voice was small, the question hanging heavy between them as the beat of the ballroom faded into the background, becoming a mere echo of laughter and clinking glasses. The man's smile widened. "Oh, you have no idea how complicated your little lives have become, but isn't that the fun of it?" Before Jack could respond, the man turned and began to walk away, disappearing back into the shadowed corner of the gala. Emily felt a spine-tingling rush of panic claw at her chest, and she glanced up at Jack, who returned her gaze with steely resolve. "We need to go after him," he said, fear edging his voice. "No," Emily urged, a part of her whispering caution. "Let us not. Not without knowing more." They had barely caught their breaths when suddenly a loud crash erupted from the far corner of the ballroom. People gasped and spun around, the air thick with panic. "What now?" Jack shouted, grounding himself beside Emily. With dread pooling in her stomach, she glanced at Lily. "Stay right here." But in that moment, as chaos rained down, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. "Are you ready to face the truth you've been trying to avoid?" The man's voice echoed back in her mind, and she couldn't help but wonder, what truths were surfacing, and what would they demand of her? Before they could strategize in the madness, a familiar face appeared in the throng of panic. It was someone from her past, someone she never expected to see again. "Emily." The voice called through the crowd, a plea shimmering against the backdrop of chaos. Her heart lurched, caught between the shadows of secrets long hidden and the unbearable pull of a familiar face. Was everything about her life just starting to unravel? Emily turned, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. That voice, it sent electric shocks of recognition through her, pulses of memory she thought were buried deep. She scanned the crowd, eyes darting between the frantic faces, straining to pinpoint the source. "Emily." The voice called again, louder this time, cutting through the panic swirling around her. And there he was. Tom. After all these years, the man who once held her heart, standing right in front of her. The sight of him nearly knocked the breath from her lungs. He looked older, a bit more rugged, but the warmth of his smile was still unmistakable, and it shot through her like sunlight breaking dark clouds. "What are you doing here?" she asked, keeping her voice low, trying to shield Lily from the storm brewing in every direction. "I came to find you." "I've been looking everywhere," Tom replied, his eyes darting from her to Jack and then to Lily. "When I heard about the gala, I had to see you. I had to make sure you were all right." Jack's posture stiffened, uncertainty flickering across his face. "You know each other?" His voice was tight, protective. "Yes," Emily began, but the words felt heavy. The memories they shared were fraught with moments both painful and beautiful, and now felt so distant from the life she had built. Lily tugged at Emily's hand. "Mommy, who is he? Is he a friend?" The innocence in her daughter's voice cut through the tension like a knife. Emily glanced between Jack and Tom, yearning for the comfort of explanation, yet unsure how to provide it without unraveling everything. He was a friend from a long time ago," she said softly, unsure if that was enough of an anchor for the moment. Tom stepped closer, lowering his voice as people continued to flee in various directions. "We can't talk here. I know this is all too much right now, but I need you to trust me." The urgency in his tone made Emily's heart race. Before she could ponder what that trust meant, the room erupted again. A loud crash echoed near the main staircase, sending waves of people rushing toward the exits, a cascade of panic. Emily tightened her grip on Lily, her eyes darting as she assessed the turmoil unfolding. "Follow me," Tom urged, his voice low and steady despite the chaos. Jack didn't budge, staring fiercely at Tom. "You want to take them where?" "To safety. There's a back exit, it's less crowded." "We need to get away from the crowd first," Tom insisted, glancing back at Emily, imploring her to make a choice amidst the turmoil. Suddenly, his presence felt like a tether. Lily clung to Emily's side, her tiny fingers trembling. The thought of running from her past was as terrifying as it was promising. Did she dare reconnect the fragmented pieces of her life? "Jack," Emily said, her heart thudding as she made a decision. "We have to trust him just this once." For Lily. Jack nodded reluctantly, still keeping a vigilant eye on Tom, but the reality of the situation pressed them forward. As they started to move through the throngs of people, Emily felt the knot in her stomach loosen slightly. With each step, she grappled with the changes ahead. Tom's presence was both a comfort and a reminder of everything she kept hidden. Just as they reached the side door, she heard the haunting echo of the man's earlier words flood her mind again. Shadows don't always linger where you think they do. What secrets lay hidden just beyond the reach of her understanding? Just then, the shrill cry of a breaking glass shattered the air, and Emily's heart dropped as she turned around. A figure moved quickly in the distance, clearly intent on something much darker. More truth and danger loomed ahead, and she couldn't shake the feeling they were stepping into something much bigger than themselves. Emily's pulse raced as the glass shattered, reverberating through the chaos. The figure moved with purpose, weaving through the panicked crowd. Faint flickers of recognition crossed her mind, but she couldn't grasp them. She felt Jack's hand grip her arm, trying to pull her toward the door Tom had pointed out, but her instincts screamed at her to stay still. Emily, focus. Tom's voice broke through her daze. There was urgency in his tone, like he was urging her from the edge of a precipice. Lily whimpered beside her, and Emily knelt to meet her daughter's wide eyes. Sweetheart, we need to go. Can you hold my hand tight? Lily nodded slowly, squeezing Emily's fingers as if anchoring herself in the storm. Jack's grip relaxed, if only slightly, as he glanced between the fleeing mass and the figure now speeding toward them. Are you sure about this? Jack asked, uncertainty lacing his voice. Just this once, she whispered to him again, hoping to reinforce her decision, even though doubt clawed at her heart. With a nod, Jack took a deep breath, presumably steeling himself for whatever had yet to unfold. They rushed out the side door, feeling the cold night air on their skin as they stepped into a dimly lit alley behind the gala. Tom led the way, and as they ran, Emily saw flashes of that past life warm laughter echoing through hallways, the scent of Tom's cologne, snippets of stolen moments they had shared. But there was no time to indulge in nostalgia. They needed to get away, and fast. Is everyone okay? Tom checked as they rounded the corner, his worry palpable. Emily turned to him, forcing her own fear to the back of her mind. What was that? We can't just run without knowing, she urged, searching Tom's face for answers. His eyes were wide and alert, shadows from the streetlights enhancing the urgency etched across his features. I don't know, he admitted, his voice quieter now, choked with concern. But I've been hearing rumors about someone trying to interfere with the gala. I thought it was just that rumors. Jack sighed, his hands shifting as if ready to protect them. And you thought just showing up would fix everything? It was more than just that, Jack. Tom snapped, but before he could continue, a crash echoed from the entrance they had just cleared. The sound was not unlike the thunderous heartbeat in Emily's chest. We should keep moving, she said quickly, the adrenaline pushing her forward. We can figure it out later. As they dashed deeper into the alley, Emily couldn't shake the feeling they had walked right into a web, something much larger than themselves beginning to close around them. Laughter and lights from the gala faded as their footsteps echoed off the brick walls. Hold on, Lils, she urged, glancing down to see her daughter's small frame struggling to keep pace. Then, in the flicker of a shadow, a man stepped forward from the darker side of the alley, blocking their path. Every instinct Emily had cried out in alarm. She felt Jack step closer, his body brimming with protectiveness, just as Tom raised a hand, palm outward. Stay back, Tom warned. This doesn't have to escalate. The man's expression was hard, calculating, his eyes glinting like a predator sizing up its prey. Things have just gotten a lot more complicated. You shouldn't have come back, Tom, he hissed, his voice low and menacing. Truth crashed into Emily. Whatever this was, it was about more than them. Past mistakes, dangerous choices. The air felt thick with consequences, a sense of loss creeping close. Who are you? She demanded, feeling the tremors of fear, but pushing forward with resolve. The man smiled briefly, but it lacked warmth. You're about to find out. And this time, no one else walking away. Her heart sank. What new dangers awaited them? How could shadows chase them even into the light? Just then, another sound erupted behind them, a familiar voice celebrated with a flash of authority. Police. Everybody, drop to the ground. Emily's heart leapt again. Could it be help or more chaos? As a sense of hope tangled with anxiety washed over them, she wondered, could this be the moment where everything changed? The alley fell silent, the weight of tension palpable. The air hung thick with uncertainty and fear. Emily could feel her heart pounding against her ribcage, a relentless drum drowning out everything else. She stood frozen, torn between the urgency to protect her family and the instinct to understand the looming threat. Drop to the ground. The officer shouted again, urgency lacing his voice. Jack's protective instincts kicked in fully. He turned to Emily, his expression resolute. Get Lily down, he ordered, his voice low but commanding. Do what he says, Tom urged, his eyes darting back to the menacing figure blocking their way. Please. We need to get out of here. With a swift motion, Emily knelt, pulling Lily down beside her. She pressed her daughter close, feeling the warmth and fragility of the small body against hers. It's going to be okay, Lils, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly despite her effort to sound calm. The officer's footsteps grew louder, and the shadowy man smirked as if he reveled in their predicament. You really think the police will protect you? He taunted, a chilling confidence radiating from him. Jack stepped forward, risking a glance at the approaching officers. We need to get out of here, he insisted, his tone on edge. Just then, the officer rounded the corner, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. He saw them and paused, taking in the scene the crumpled figure of Emily and Lily, the tension between Tom and the suspicious man. What is going on here? The officer demanded, his eyes narrowing. They're trying to Tom began but was cut off as the shadowy man swiftly moved out of view, blending into the darkness of the alley. Hey, stop, the officer shouted, but Emily could only watch as the man melted away into the night. What did he know that they didn't? What were they up against? The officer approached them cautiously, lowering his flashlight, gauging the situation. Are you three all right? His questioning gaze landed on Lily, whose small form was still pressed against Emily's side. Just a little scared, Emily admitted, her voice barely a whisper. What happened back there? It was chaos, Jack explained. We saw someone threatening the gala, and we were trying to get away before things turned ugly. The officer frowned, a mix of concern and determination plastered on his face. You shouldn't have left like that. You put yourselves in danger. We've got reports of several disturbances tonight. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. This was about more than just them. It was unfolding like a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Is there a safe place? She asked, desperation creeping into her tone. We need. Before she could finish, a loud crash echoed through the alley. Her heart dropped again as shouts erupted from somewhere behind them. Voices mingled with the sound of splintering wood. Get inside now, the officer shouted, guiding them urgently toward a nearby door. We don't have much time. Emily's instincts flared. The urgency mixed with fear as they stumbled forward. She held Lily's hand tightly, glancing back to find Tom and Jack at her side. They were in this together, a small bastion against the chaos surrounding them. As they were ushered into the safe confines of the building, the shadowy menace lingered like a ghost in Emily's mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows? And as the door crashed shut behind them, sealing away the night's horrors, Emily's heart raced with one daunting realization: they were far from safe. The truth was darker than she could have imagined, and their escape might lead to a far more dangerous revelation. Where would the next turn of this harrowing tale lead them? Inside the building, the air felt different, heavy yet still. The faint antiseptic smell was a sharp contrast to the chaos outside, but it offered no real comfort. The officer kept his voice low, urgency making it tremble as he gestured them further in. Stay close to me, he instructed, his brow furrowed in concentration. Emily's heartbeat echoed in her ears as they followed the officer down a narrow corridor. Each step felt like they were moving further away from safety and deeper into uncertainty. With Lily tugging at her side, she glanced around, taking in the dimmed lights and peeling paint. The place felt abandoned, as if it were absorbing the weight of the fear and secrets lingering in the shadows. "Do you think they're still out there?" Jack voiced the concern simmering in the back of their minds. His face was drawn tight with anxiety, eyes darting to windows as if trying to peer into the darkness beyond. "I don't know," the officer said, pushing open a door at the end of the hall. "But we can't take chances." They stepped into a large room that looked more like a makeshift command center than a refuge. Screens lined the walls, each one flickering with static or glimpses of the night's previous event. Men and women in uniforms were moving about, some answering phones, others crowding around a table stacked with files. "What is going on?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Multiple attacks reported, and they seem coordinated," the officer replied, his demeanor still serious. "We're trying to piece together who's behind this." As he spoke, Tom leaned closer, scanning the screens. "Coordinated? You mean this was planned? What kind of people are we dealing with?" The officer didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned to Emily. "You saw something at the gala, didn't you? Something important." Emily nodded, heart racing. Her mind flashed back to the crashing sound, the look of the shadowy figure, the chaos unraveling. She felt the weight of their lives depending on her next words. "Yes, but it was so chaotic." "People were everywhere, and every little detail matters," he interrupted gently. "You need to tell me what you saw." But before Emily could collect herself, a loud noise thrashed against the building, followed by frantic shouting. The sounds flooded through the walls, making her stomach twist. "Lock it down!" the officer shouted. Panic erupted as everyone rushed for doors and windows, securing the room. Emily turned to Jack, who gripped Lily tightly in his arms. Emily felt a surge of protectiveness. "We can't stay here," she whispered, the panic creeping back into her veins. "Where would we go?" Jack asked, his voice low but firm. "Anywhere but here," she replied. "We need to leave before what?" Tom interjected, his brow furrowed. Before they could finish, the power flickered, the lights stuttering before plunging them into near darkness. A collective gasp echoed in the room. "This way!" the officer yelled above the commotion. He beckoned them to follow him toward a back exit. But as they turned to leave, a figure appeared in the doorway, tall and cloaked in shadows. The room fell silent, their breaths trembling in unison. Emily's heart pounded wildly in her chest. "Who is this?" Was this the threat they had been waiting for? "Move!" the officer shouted again as the figure stepped forward, a flash of metal catching the dim light before the connection between fear and adrenaline sent them racing back. What lay beyond those shadows? And as they prepared to confront the unknown, a chilling realization settled over Emily. They were about to uncover a truth that could change everything. Rediscovering themselves in the chaos would reveal more than just the unknown. It would reveal who they really were when faced with true danger. The figure stepped further into the room, and Emily's breath hitched in her throat. It was hard to make out any features in the flickering shadows, but the presence radiated something ominous. The officer, visibly tense, stood firm between the figure and the group, his body poised for any sign of aggression. Lily whimpered, instinctively shrinking closer to Jack. He tightened his grip around her, his expression shifting from anxiety to fierce determination. "We can't let it whoever that is get to us." His voice steadied, anchoring Emily even as everything around her threatened to tip into chaos. "Stand down," the officer ordered, but the figure showed no signs of compliance. Instead, it simply stood, silent and imposing, a dark silhouette against the dull light. Time stretched thin in that moment. Emily's mind raced, piecing fragments of forgotten memories, the gala's chaos swirling back to her. The glimpses of familiar faces now felt like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be put together. A feeling deep within her stirred. She sensed this figure was pivotal to it all. With a sudden rush of adrenaline, the officer raised his weapon, advancing towards the figure. "Identify yourself," he demanded, and the tension in the air crackled. When the figure finally shifted, the lights seemed to resume a slight flicker. And then, the unexpected happened. A voice rolled out, barely above a murmur, but heavy with malice. "You think you can protect them?" The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face both known and feared. Emily gasped. It was someone from the gala, the man she had seen arguing with someone in the shadows just before the attack began. A spark of recognition ignited her fear. Jack's whisper rose beside her. "Emily, do you know him?" She barely had time to nod. "He was there, the night everything started." "Precisely," the man said, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. "And I'm here to finish what I started." Panic seized the room. Screams erupted from somewhere within the building, blending with the chaos outside. The officer turned slightly, his gaze locked onto Emily's questioning eyes. "What did you see?" He pressed urgently. But before she could answer, a deafening crash echoed, sending vibrations through the building's walls. Everyone flinched. The officer grabbed Emily's arm, pulling her toward the exit as he shouted for others to follow. "No!" The figure barked, raising his hand, and suddenly, the flickering lights stabilized, casting a harsh glow across his face. "You're not leaving yet." Emily felt her heart race as the officer decisively repositioned himself in front of her. "We can't let him have you," he whispered fiercely, fear and bravery mixing in his eyes. At that moment, another loud explosion rocked the building. Part of the wall caved in, leaving a gaping hole, thick dust swirling as debris fell to the ground. The officer's grip on Emily tightened as alarms began to wail, the noise mixing with the chaos outside. "Move," he shouted, urgency filling his tone. They had to escape. It was time to find a way out, and fast. What awaited them beyond the confines of that room, they had no idea. But Emily could feel it in her bones. This was just the beginning. A chance for revelations, confrontation, and perhaps survival intermingled with the essence of the threat they faced. As they rushed forward, the shadows darkened behind them, the figure's voice trailing off as laughter filled the space, chilling them to the core. "You won to escape." This is only the beginning. What truth was he hinting at? And more importantly, how would they escape it? Emily felt the weight of impending dread, knowing the answers they sought were just within reach if they could survive long enough to uncover them. The chaos around them surged like a tidal wave, but amidst the turmoil, Emily grounded herself with Lily's trembling hand in hers and Jack's protective presence beside her. The officer led them away from the crumbling building, navigating through the darkened hallways where memories of laughter shifted into the shadows of dread. They emerged into the cool night air, escaping the screeching alarms. The moon hung high above, a silent witness to their flight. People ran through the streets, faces painted with fear and confusion. But in that moment, Emily felt a rush of clarity. "We need to get to safety," the officer insisted, urgency sharpening his voice as he looked over his shoulder. Jack nodded, and they quickly moved away from the chaos, pressing into the uncertainty of the night. As they reached a nearby park, the atmosphere changed. The sounds of distress faded while a blanket of calm engulfed them. "We should regroup," the officer said, glancing over their shoulders as if expecting shadows to follow closely. "We need to know what we're up against." Emily crouched down beside Lily, brushing her hair away from her damp forehead. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" she asked with quiet affection, fighting the panic that clawed at her chest. I was scared," Mommy, Lily admitted, her eyes wide, reflecting the night's tumult. The little girl's fragility sent a wave of protectiveness surging through Emily. Jack knelt close. "We're safe now, Lils," he said, his voice steady yet soft, radiating reassurance. "But we need to be strong together. Can you do that?" Lily nodded, biting her lip, courage blooming within her small frame. The office returned to them. "What did you see tonight at the gala? Did you notice anything unusual? Any threats?" Emily's heart thundered as she sifted through memories laced with confusion and fear. "I saw him," she said, voice shaking. "The figure, he was with someone. They were arguing, something about the girls." "I thought," she faltered, piecing together blurry fragments. "I thought it was a fight for money, but it was more than that, wasn't it?" It's all connected, the officer replied quietly, pain shadowing his face. You've stumbled into something serious. This isn't just a random event. Jack's expression darkened, uncertainty lining his brow. What do you mean? The officer took a deep breath, his gaze unwavering. The figure you saw, he's part of a larger scheme. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. They've been targeting prominent families, tugging at threads to unravel them. Emily's stomach twisted. But why? What do they gain from this? They feast on chaos. It's power to them. By sowing discord, they thrive, he explained, the grim truth settling between them like a stone. But we're not living in that cycle anymore, Jack asserted, determination coursing through his voice. We can't let them dictate our lives. Exactly, the officer agreed, resolve flickering in his eyes. You have families to protect. And I believe there's a chance to turn the tables. Turn it how? Emily pressed, feeling the weight of uncertainties still clouding them. By gathering evidence of this man and his connections. He can't remain unseen forever, he replied, a spark igniting in his tone. Together, we can expose this. Emily could see the flicker of hope in Jack's eyes. They shared that silent understanding this was their moment to reclaim what was lost and to stand against threats, not just for themselves, but for the girls they had grown to love fiercely. We have to go after him, she declared, confidence anchoring her now. What if he strikes again? The officer warned, concern etching his brow. He will, Jack replied forcefully. But if we are united, we can stand against him. Lily squeezed Emily's hand tightly, anchoring them all together. Let's go get him, Mommy, she said, her voice brave and hopeful. With a collective nod, they began to move, hearts united, layers of fear peeling away to reveal determination forged in the fire of their trials. They would push back against the darkness with light. As they made their way toward the sprawling chaos, Emily felt a sense of clarity wash over her. Together, they walked boldly into the unknown, not just seeking freedom or safety, but unleashing a powerful transformation within. The grief they had endured was not only a reminder of loss, it had sculpted connections, a newfound understanding that the strength of family could rise above anything. As the first hints of dawn began to break across the horizon, bathing the world in warm light, Emily realized that shadows couldn't dim the spark of hope. They were more than their pasts, they were architects of their futures, stepping forward into togetherness, courage, and love. This was their final stand against the darkness. And, together, it marked the beginning of their extraordinary journey onwards, hand in hand, each step ignited by the power of unity, resilience, and the promise of brighter tomorrows. Now, if you found this finale as inspiring as I did, I need you to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss our next gripping stories. Leave a like right now to support the algorithm. Every click helps bring more amazing content to you. Comment below your thoughts and emotions about this conclusion. I'd love to hear how it resonated with you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformative journey. Your engagement is what keeps our community alive, so show your support and let us grow together.